As will.i.am once said, let's get it started in here. It is finally that time of the year. Originally, I was going to do a top 5, but there were too many top tier movies. You know, I had to go over 10 of these puppies. If you want the longer versions of these upcoming reviews, check them out right down below. But without further ado, let's get into it. Number 10. Number 10, we are starting off with Pearl. This is one of my biggest surprises. I am not huge on horror movies, but this one was one of my favorite of the year. It doesn't rely on cheap jump scares. It relies entirely on Pearl's character and the personality of a delusional farm girl wanting to become a star. Being a prequel to the movie X, it also does an excellent job of giving more story to an already developed character. The entire story made me feel tension as her world falls entirely apart. Pearl is an easy watch and an easy fit for number 10. Number 9, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Phase 4 of the MCU has been a bumpy road to say the least. I went into this film extremely skeptical, but I can gladly say that this film is incredible. The way it takes what were several side characters, gives them the limelight, and they ran with it in a way that made me want to see more of it. Namor made for an incredible villain with good tension and fantastic action sequences, making an easy number 9. Number 8. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is on here for one main reason. It is not only a perfect example of a brilliant way to make a sequel, but it is by far the best video game adaptation to a movie I have ever seen. It takes what the first film built, adds well-known characters, higher stakes, and a little bit of extra fun action. Little tidbits and extra details here and there make it an incredibly fun film to watch. It's not a perfect film, with some scenes like the wedding scene kind of weighing it down, but it's a damn fun one. Number 7. Glass Onion was one of my most anticipated movies of the year. Knives Out is one of my favorite mystery movies, of course, next to the live-action Scooby-Doo by James Gunn. The billionaire Miles Braun invites 5 close friends to his island for a fake murder mystery game. Not going to spoil much more than that what's in the trailer, because this is a must-watch for any mystery fans. Everything from the characters, the music, to the basic mystery itself are breathtaking. The humor is fantastic and charming, but the characters in these films are what make it worth watching for. Actors like Daniel Craig, Dave Bautista, and Edward Norton serve to complement the tone of the film, making for an easy number 7. Number 6, Dragon Ball Super Superhero. Before I watched this movie, I had only seen maybe a few episodes of Dragon Ball, if anything. I knew the basics, but that was about it. This film made me start watching not only Dragon Ball Z, but the original Dragon Ball, and got me fully developed into the series. But what impressed me and got me curious the most were all the characters that this film easily introduced. Having not known a single thing, the movie explains every tiny thing you have to know quickly and efficiently. There's no long scenes of context, just some quick exposition, and then we dive straight into the gorgeous new 3D visuals, a more ultimate take on the Cell saga. And the thing that wowed me the most is that this is a film about 2 side characters. Goku and Vegeta are here, but they're a side piece to this film's main cast of Piccolo and Gohan. They easily take the stage, and with the jaw-dropping action, this is my 6th favorite movie of the year. Number 5. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Here is another movie I was super pumped for. It has been 11 years since the first one, and right away I can see why it took so long. Normally when movies enter this development hell cycle, they're doomed from the start, but this film took its time to give us one of the most gut-busting visuals ever this year, easily passing by the garbage Disney gave us this year. But it's not just the animation. The way all of our returning characters evolve into something new, the way all of our new cast fit in so well, with genuinely terrifying villains and a hilarious side cast, Puss in Boots is a movie you cannot turn your head away as soon as it starts. Number 4, Bullet Train. For a while when I first saw this actually was my favorite film of the year. I've seen it almost 3 times since it was released, and each time I enjoy it just as much. From the people who brought you Deadpool, we now have Bullet Train. And in that category of films, of course, we have the god tier action, the super funny characters, and honestly, every single damn scene in this movie is a desktop wallpaper waiting to happen. It is a gorgeous film. This is where slow-mo was done right. Any CGI is not noticeable at all, but the best thing in this film, similar to Glass Onion, are the characters. We get to see the story unfold in the present as things are slowly revealed behind you. It's almost like what if Japan made Murder on the Orient Express with their own little bit of taste to it. It is a must watch and an easy pick for number 4. Number 3, Everything Everywhere All at Once. I had no idea what to expect walking into this film, other than, hey, Jamie Lee Curtis is pretty goated, so maybe this will be funny. And as funny as this movie is, there is so much more to it. This movie takes something as simple as a bagel, makes a million types of meanings around it, while also giving each character the development they needed to evolve throughout the film. We start off in a family's life of owning a laundromat, the mother's filling taxes as their life falls apart around them. Shenanigans happen, and we end up with the most realistic interpretation of a multiverse I have ever seen. We see every choice made in our characters' lives and how different choices could have impacted them. The action is intense, the comedy is gold, and the lesson behind it all is worth watching it for alone. It's an easy pick for number 3, but there are only 2 more movies that barely pass it for me. Number 2, Avatar: The Way of Water. Once again, we have a film that was certainly a difficult choice not putting it in 1. Avatar 2 is a movie I went into thinking it was going to be the dumbest movie of the year. The first one came out in 2009 and I have not seen it since. I wasn't a fan of it, but I went into this one with a tiny sense of optimism, and I am so glad I did, because this movie is not just the Oscar bait trash I thought it was going to be, but this film does not just use the visuals as a crutch, because with an incredibly engaging story, amazing tension you feel throughout it, and the amazing storytelling, it is the longest film at a measly 3 hours and 12 minutes, but it takes all that extra time to develop its characters that would have been glossed over if the movie were any shorter. Avatar 2 is a beautiful film and makes for an easy number 2, but it is just shy of the one movie I thought took the cake. And finally, number 1, The Batman. At long last, we've hit number 1. Batman is a character beloved by millions upon millions, but ever since, I would argue, 2008, this character has been butchered to death back and forth. Each attempt to revive the character falling flat with stupid lines, awkward suits, and Warner Brothers simply being Warner Brothers. But this film is what made me realize why I loved all of the old Batman comics I used to read. Matt Reeves has brought in a more detective-savvy Batman. Does he still fight crime and look badass while doing it? Absolutely. But the film doesn't rely on action unlike a lot of other DC movies. It relies on the awesome story it tells. Robert Pattinson is easily my second favorite Batman under Adam West, the GOAT. And this film complements it with not just the story, but the characters, the gorgeous interpretation of Gotham, and with the most intimidating villain. Going back to the same point, not every superhero needs to be about the brute force. This movie's villain is the Riddler if he was a Redditor, and I loved every second of it. The Batman is exactly that. It's a movie about getting back to the basics, and that is why it is a perfect number 1. Guys, thank you so much for watching an entire year of Grant Guy reviews. Make sure to check out my playlists right here. If you want any more thoughts on movies that I didn't talk about, then stick with me for this next year to find out which movies are going on the Grant Guy Hall of Fame.